Around Texas still scratching their heads this morning over the closing of a beloved state park just south of Corsicana, right between Dallas and Houston. Many are confused as to how a developer swept in and bought the Fairfield Lake State Park. But questions are surfacing now about the fate of at least 2 Freedman cemeteries located on a prime piece of real estate. The 50-year-old Fairfield Lake State Park in Freestone County is not only being sold to a private developer, it was closed for good last week. Texas Parks and Wildlife officials offered only about half of the $110 million asking price. So the park and lake and some other acreage on the northern end of the lake was marketed for sale.
Located in the heart of Freestone County, the Fairfield Lake property comprises just over 5,000 pristine private country acres.
But captured in that promotional video, a glimpse of an island with, quote, development potential limited only by one's imagination. But it's actually limited by something else. A private cemetery on land once owned and still populated by the burial remains of freed slaves and their descendants, namely Edward Ned Titus. He and his wife Clora, side by side. Their children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren also buried there, as are the descendants of other freed slaves.
My name is Beverly Bass. All my people live there. My grandfather and my grandmother, my great uncles and aunts. And
when we found our way to the cemetery last Friday, we passed through 2 gates, an old abandoned coal power plant, across a narrow land bridge to that developer's island. Then finally, the Hopewell Cemetery. Bass says power plant operators granted them access to the gravesite. She says she has no idea who the new owners are or what they have planned for that island. Did they ever contact you and ask you?
No, sir. Not that, no. I haven't received anything from them as of yet.
Does that bother you?
Well, I'm concerned now.
Why are you concerned?
Because our roots are back there. I mean, our grandmothers and my brother, we just buried him a year ago.
Bass says the church still controls the property, but the future access to it is uncertain. But it's not only the Freedman's burial site that developers may have to navigate. Freestone County historian Sandy Bates Emmons says she's found more evidence of Freedman's graves on the recently sold land.
And it was prepared by the Texas Parks and Wildlife Cultural Resources Program in Austin, Texas, back in December of 2002.
Emmons says subsequent research indicates it was a significant discovery, appropriately noted, mapped, even headstones, photographed, located on an eastern peninsula of the Fairfield Lake State Park. But the information was evidently ignored.
It actually talks about the different depressions in the area where several burials remain intact. And then they recommend that this site should be classified as a level 1 site, which is very high management priority for the archaeology in Texas.
Emmons says research shows there may be other grave sites on parkland that need to be explored and preserved. As for the Hopewell Cemetery, Beverly Bass has just one message for developers hoping to profit from an island once owned by freed slaves.
Leave it alone. Let us continue to bury our loved ones there.
We reached out to the developer. We're still hoping to hear back. A hearing on the preservation of state parks is scheduled in Austin for Thursday. Now, there is some discussion about reclaiming the Fairfield Lake State Park through eminent domain. We will stay on top of that. Back to you.